Yummy. Looks good to me. How do you fold laundry? I am a very busy folder. I just do that even if it's in the towel. How do you do it? Like that? And then like that? Yeah, come and walk. What are you doing? Huh? Yeah. Oh, Shuggy. Shuggy. I told you I'd be back, sweetie pie. I told you I'd be back. Yes, I will. Hi. Hi. Ready to do some artsy? Yeah. Ready to do some artsies, little booty. Hi, baby. Hey. Come here, you don't be mad. She's mad because I left. Come here, you. Come here, you. Alright. I'm gonna go to art now, baby girl. Yeah. Here we go. Welcome back to another episode of Remember the Sabbath Day. I hope you had a wonderful September. We have now entered fall officially. It is October. The leaves are starting to turn color, and there's just a lot of beautiful, vivid hues out there, and that's the part that I love about fall. I also don't mind the nice, cool, crisp weather. It's better than the hot, overbearing heat that we have endured this past summer. So anyway, as my usual disclaimer from last video, I am not a licensed therapist. This is not meant to replace any sort of medical treatment for any sort of mental illness. If you do have a mental illness, please get professional help and then come back here and get creative with me. I ask that during this video you do not do any sort of work or chores. Please get out your creative tools, whatever you like to use: sculpting clay, paint, markers, pencils, crayons, wood carving, whatever it is, knitting you like to do to be creative. Get those tools out and let's create together. Last video I talked about how we connect our emotions with what we draw. And lately I have to say I have definitely felt disconnected with my drawings. I have not been as emotionally in tune with myself and how I express that as I would like to be. I find this is due to some tension and stress that I've been dealing with lately at home, and it has been challenging for me to get into the right mindset where I can truly just focus on my art and be expressive. And I'm human too, and I do find some roadblocks sometimes for creating. However, we create anyway, or at least I create anyway, and it usually fixes itself after a while and I get back into the groove of things. This particular episode I was very tired. You might be able to see it in my face at the end of the video, but I was just very tired, and it wasn't because of lack of sleep or anything. It was just mental and emotional tiredness, fatigue, and so it shows, but I still powered through it and still forced myself to draw, and this is what I came up with. It is going to be a persona, or I guess a symbol or representation of my artistic name, Salvation Bridge. So that's why it is what it is. So perhaps a good topic to go over today is powering through the creative process while under emotional fatigue, or emotional and mental fatigue in this case. This is a challenge. Oftentimes, because of our fatigue, it can be difficult to truly tap into the mess of emotions and thoughts that we have within us, and this can make it difficult to convey or validate onto a piece of paper. Usually when I'm emotionally and mentally fatigued, it's because I'm experiencing so many different feelings. A lot of them usually they're frustration, anger, and sadness, anxiety, stress, all at once. And when that happens, it can be really difficult to pinpoint what I need to express. In that case, I usually just start a drawing with an idea that maybe I need to get done anyway. So for people who aren't regular artists, this may be difficult. However, I just pick projects that I've been wanting to do and I work on that. Usually this helps because I don't have to be so much mindful of what I'm making, more as I'm kind of a robot. I'm just kind of doing the motions and following a plan. So maybe when you are emotionally and mentally fatigued, doing something that is already planned out for you might be helpful. You could do a tutorial. Those are great. A fan art of a character you already know. Adult coloring books are really great for that, I think. Maybe doing a puzzle, something that doesn't take too much mindfulness or brain work, because when you're already fatigued, it's a roadblock. It's another cork that you have to get out of the way before you can fully express yourself. So first you need to just get started with the creative process. So my suggestion to you is get out a tutorial. Do a fan art of a character that is already created. Do something that doesn't have to already exhaust your exhausted mind. And that's what I'm kind of doing here, although I am making this up on my own, but it's just a project that I've been wanting to do for a while. I've had the name Salvation Bridge, and I haven't created an official sign or persona for it, so I just decided, well, I might as well just get this done. So I did. And yeah, usually once I start on a project or something like that, it will help me at least get that satisfaction of creating something and feeling accomplished. So even though it's not so much as art therapy or validation, it still satisfies that creative need for me, which is super important. In order for me to feel like, I don't know how to explain it, but in order for me to be satisfied, I need to at least create something once a day. It can be anything from a small doodle to a full picture, but it's got to be something. And if I don't, then I'll be upset with myself. So alright, and so I also wanted to share with you about emotional and mental fatigue. As far as for me, it has to do with my space and my environment. Oftentimes, if I change my space and environment, I'll have a different feel and I'll feel better. So for me, I feel better today and more rejuvenated because I went to work. I was at work for 8 hours, then came home, and because I was at work for 8 hours, I was in a different place. And that for me, my workplace can be very rejuvenating for me because there is a lot of tension sometimes at home. So it's good for me to just get out of that space for a while and have some peace from that space. So if you're in a similar situation, make sure that you're not only using art as a tool, because it does need to be coupled with other things. So if you are emotionally and mentally fatigued, check your environment and check your space and experiment. See if you go on a walk or if you just go to a different space and hang out for a bit. See if your mood or feelings change. Because oftentimes, for me, I just need to go to a different space and get away from where all the tension is. This will hopefully change once I have my own place. I'll have an environment that's more restful and peaceful, but at this time, this is what I work with, and this is what I have to learn to cope with. So, check your space, check your environment, and try to give yourself a break from that usual environment, and spend some time somewhere else for a bit. The next suggestion is to force yourself to go outside. And I do this to myself all the time. I tell myself I've seen my yard 100 million times. I don't want to go on a walk by myself, so I'll just skip it. But it's not just about being entertained. It's the fresh air and the sun. It's just good to go outside and take deep breaths and soak in the nature and all the different smells and the sunshine, if there is sunshine. But even if it's cloudy out, you're still getting more sun outside than you are inside, so it's still good for you. Even in wintertime, I would recommend it, because there's something about being outside and near plants and birds that can be super peaceful and calming, especially if you're able to pay attention for a second and really pay attention to the birds, pay attention to the sky, pay attention to the trees, pay attention to the different plants. And if it's wintertime, it's really cool to look at the different piles of snow and how it shines and sparkles in the sun. And it can be super quiet in the trees because all the trees are blanketed in the snow, and it creates this special sound barrier. So force yourself to go outside, even if it's just for a few minutes, to do some deep breaths. I would suggest that, because it does put you in a different and better mindset than keeping yourself cooped up in a room. If you are blessed enough to have pets, I have 2 adoptive cats, and it's great to take a second and actually just pay attention to what they're doing, because the great thing about animals is they live in the moment. So by being mindful of your animals, you can also kind of mirror them and do the same, live in the moment for that whatever small amount of time that is. So just observe your cat, observe your dog, pet them, pay attention to them, and try to be in the moment with them, because that can also bring us back to being more mindful of our feelings and less fatigued or confused, I suppose is what I'm trying to say. So there are a lot of different coping mechanisms that I've used for mental and emotional fatigue. I will be totally honest with you, I'm still figuring it out. I don't have all the answers, and I still have days where I really struggle, days where I feel like I'm tired no matter what I do, and I just keep going, and I try to tell myself that it's not permanent and tomorrow's another day. And it's true, you can have a low point that lasts you for a few days, but if you keep in mind that it's just a temporary thing and that there's another day and a better day ahead, you'll get through it. So always remind yourself that it's just temporary, and better days are on the way. So yeah, I think that's all I have to share with you for this Remember the Sabbath Day. I hope you have a blessed month. Enjoy the beautiful fall colors. Remember to be creative. Remember to be mindful and express yourself and validate yourself through creativity. It is such a wonderful tool, and it can really help you in so many ways. So thank you so much for watching, and God bless. Have a blessed Sunday.
Little boogeyman. Hi, boogeyman. Yeah. Oh, you're beautiful. You're a handsome man. Yeah.